So we are a business consulting organisation. We have a huge range of experts behind us and a whole range of different business categories that we're working with. So we bring people from various client agents all the way across to all the different business content you could be particularly asking for. This month, we are hosting a whole 17 different experts. We're about halfway through the program already. And as you can see, there's a whole host of opportunities coming forward, all the way and finishing with my expertise on the 27th of August. So have a look at the website, have a look at all the different categories that we're covering, sign up, let your friends know. It's just such a good, awesome opportunity to get the free advice that you might be seeking. On to the next area that we're going to look at is just the idea that we're pooling these experts together and making them available to you this afternoon. What our expertise this afternoon will be on is e-learning tech trends and how we are empowering our networks. So what we're going to be looking at with Sven Becker is a whole range of internal and external e-learning solutions, and looking at his mastery of being innovative and creative as a leading expert in this space. So Sven is an executive board member of IMC. He's an expert in strategy, technology, and e-learning content, and he has holistic and tailored e-learning solutions. So what we're going to do is, before we hand over to Sven, is have a quick look at Pearl as an organisation. And if we can move through that, and then a quick look at the agenda for this afternoon. There we go. So here is a quick look at Pearl. We are fueled by a whole range of experts. We have consultants, business leaders, thought leaders, researchers, technology solutions, a huge range of diversity, whether you need a speaking engagement all the way to instructional design. We love people to get in touch. We talk about exactly what you require and we find the right expertise for you. Very quickly going on to the agenda for today, we're about to hand over to Sven. Sven's going to do a whole range of information and discussion. He's really open to the idea of you raising questions in the chat as we're working through the whole system. So feel free to fire away. I'll be watching the chat as well, making sure we're capturing any questions as they come through. But there'll be dedicated time at the end to have a really good in-depth question of whatever it is that you're after. And we'll be closing up within the hour and capturing your feedback before we close. So right now I'm going to hand over to Sven and let his expertise run you through the next 40 to 50 minutes of discussion with him. And again, fire away with any questions. We're here to capture them and make the most of the afternoon. So Sven, it's all yours.
Thank you, Amanda, for the great introduction. So I will share my screen then. I will give you today an insight on one side what IMC is doing, but the most important thing is for me to show you how we, especially from a Euro vendor who is working globally, how we see where's a big change in the market. There's a change in the learner, so the individual, and there's a change in technology. Something comes out of COVID, something comes before, and it's pushed through COVID. So this is an interesting point. So Amanda, thank you. You have already introduced me. So here you see a little bit bigger screen than my video. Let me explain you who IMC is. IMC is working since now 24 years in the market of learning technologies. We are when you're looking at some rankings like Fosway, QuickWise, and so on, we are one of the biggest learning management system providers. We are working globally from Germany out into US and into Australia, Singapore, Malaysia, and so on. We currently roughly 350 people big. But what is important when we're looking at IMC is we have combined all the strategies and technologies and services under one house. So that means that we have not only the technology side, we are also an e-learning content provider. E-learning content provider on a custom content way. So we're producing custom specific content, bespoke content. And on the other side, off-the-shelf content, so out-of-the-box ready content. And we're always trying to combine these things to create these extraordinary learning experiences. And out of these projects, normally we work with global big brands like Daimler, like BASF, like Samsung or something else. Out of these experiences, we have recognized, especially in the last, I would say, 24 months, so before COVID, that we see a big change in the so-called modern learner. We're talking a lot about generation Y, X, and so on. And Z, I don't know what comes after Z, perhaps ZA, don't know. But there is one thing we recognize, and this has nothing to do with generation Y or Z or something else. It is the way how the learner currently consume information. There's an interesting picture from Berzin, Josh Berzin by Deloitte, that shows you how we act different to some years before. Some years before, let me take 10 years before, we have a classical setup. We have our computer, we open an e-learning content, it goes 60 minutes, and then I get a certificate. There are three things in what I've said to you which have changed. The one thing is the technology I can consume. I don't have a computer anymore. The most people learn on their smartphone. So for example, this is the most interesting figure for me. People unlock their smartphones up to 9 times every hour. So, and there is a thing in the model learner where we have the first time really the change in learning experience. When let me talk about learning experience. The most people think that learning experience is a functional driven thing. So you have a system and this have nice functionalities and a nice view, user interface. But this has nothing to do with your learning experience. A user experience and a learning experience is always a disruption, a transformation of how you can consume something. So learning experience is you have a concept and you put the user in the middle, the so-called user-centered concept. For example, you change the communication over push notifications. You don't write an email anymore as out of a system, or you don't send out an invite to a new e-learning module over your learning management system over an email. No, you push it directly to the user on their smartphone. People unlock their smartphones up to 9 times every hour. That's the reason behind this. We can use this idea of new information, and this is something where the technology is different. The other thing is the time's getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Most learners won't watch videos longer than 4 minutes. We don't consume information anymore longer than 4 minutes when it's a closed information. 10 years ago, we have more of the ratio of 10, 15 minutes. So our concepts are extremely changing differently there, and also the technology have followed them. The other thing is certificates. Normally in the past, we have taken our approach of skilling people, skilling leadership, skilling internal employees, was only a regulatory thing. It was to gain a certificate. And the reason behind this was not to develop people, it was for the organization. It was only for the organization. That they can take out the certificate and can say, I have trained my people, they are ready. But there was no development thing behind. And there's the biggest change for me in the modern learner. The modern learner want to learn. He brings also sometimes training already into the company. It's a little bit like bring your own devices, bring your own training. They go to Udemy, they go to other platforms, they train themselves, they develop themselves, and they want this from the organization. And they want this on a different way like before. Yeah. So the same what coming out of this figure here from Berzin is a study he have run together with Deloitte, where we see that the people don't really want to learn at home or something else. They want to learn at the point of need. So this is a big change in a trend, and it's also important when we're looking at reskilling leadership, how we can reskill our leaderships. It's the point of need. the point of need, and there is a new term raising up in the market, and it's important to know this term, and this is performance support. We don't talk in the future about anymore about learning. We talk about performance support. Where at which point I get the right information to develop me in the right way, because I have now a problem at work. Performance support, for one example, when we're looking into leaderships, for example, is I have a performance review with my employee, and I need now the information to prepare my performance review. It makes no sense to have a training 12 months ago how to organize a proper performance review. It is important to have it now, and then to have it now also means you have a different way of learning. Yeah, it's short, it's fast, it's directly. You can directly use it in your application phase, so you're in the operating. So this is a big change when we're looking at the learner. And now the question is the technology ready for this? Are we have the technology already in place? And there is an important thing we have to understand, that technology is partly ready for this change, but the technology is only a carrier medium for the concepts. So like I said, we have more user-driven concepts now. We're talking about push notifications, so that means I go faster and shorter to my user. We're talking about performance support, so I bring other informations to my user. But it has not really something to do with technology. The technology is always the carrier medium for the concept. So the concept stands over everything. But I want to go into some technology trends we're seeing, because the market is also talking about, and now you get a little bit my personal view on these main technologies where the market is talking about. I want to jump into some of them. For me personally, the most emotions in the market when we're talking about trends is about video-based learning. And I have to be honest to you, I'm not a fan of video-based learning, because this has nothing to do with learning. This is education. And education, I mean edutainment. So this is entertainment. We're talking also in the market a lot about Netflix learning. Binge learning is the baddest thing we can have. That's not good. Yeah? So this is interesting. When you're talking about learning experience, then you always read the sentence under the title, our system is like Netflix. Okay, then I will hate it. So it makes no sense for me. When I look at Netflix, I look the first episode, and then I binge through the episode 20, and I have no idea what happens in the first episode. So this has nothing to do with learning. And this is with video-based learning. Why this is so? When we're talking about a good learning, we have this so-called lean forward learning. Yeah, I have to do something. Yeah, I have my computer, I have my mouse or something. I have to be active, interactive. This is good learning. A video-based learning is always lean backward learning. I lean back in my chair and I look something. And after 4 minutes, I'm out. And in 4 minutes, you cannot learn a lot of things. Video-based learning is great when you have some tangible things. You have to touch something, you have to show something. That's okay. But it is not really a good trend, but everybody is talking about. Well, why everybody is talking about this? It is easy and it's cheap. That's the reason when an agency comes to you and said, yeah, we make a lot of videos for you and this is the best thing to learn. That's not the truth. It is easy to produce. That's the thing. So I'm not a big fan of video-based learning, but from which of these things I'm a big fan. I'm really a big fan when we're going on the right, augmented reality, virtual reality. We have now gained a level of professionalization in augmented reality and virtual reality that we can really use it. In the past, it is a trend since 10 years. We're talking about this, but it was too complex. Hardware is needed, software is too expensive. And this will be also in the future when we're looking into virtual reality. It will be too expensive. there are 2 less cases to use virtual reality in a proper way to make sense to scale it over a big target group. And also when we're looking into leaderships or something else, there are not so many leadership we have in a company, and then virtual reality is too expensive. But I will give you the promise that augmented reality will be the most important learning trends in the next 5 years. And why? Because Apple jumps on. And when Apple jumps on, all the other ones jumps on. That's an easy thing. Apple jumps on smartphones, everybody uses smartphones, and now we're talking about a modern learner and push notifications. Apple jumps on tablets, everybody jumps on tablets, and now we're creating learning for tablets. And augmented reality makes sense for learning because it's the perfect medium where you can combine the reality with the virtual reality. So you can extend your reality. And this makes sense when you have, for example, manufacturing companies, where you can extend the reality. You can give them data directly where they're in the application phase. You can give them instructions directly when they're in the application phase. Remember the performance support thing. You need the learning in the application phase. That's the idea behind performance support. You get the support while you are in the performance. Augmented reality will be a big thing. So Apple is working on a class or something else. So all the news are really high, emotional about this topic now. And I also will, IMC already has produced augmented reality for our customers. It's a little bit funny, but one example, we're working with Jägermeister, you know, the drink company. And there we produce an augmented reality for their bottles. And you can then take your smartphone over the bottle, and you can then find out how you can drink on a proper way Jägermeister. But it's not so many to do with learning. It's always normally it's good to drink it and then to learn. But it's a little bit of marketing effect. But augmented reality is something that will come. A last trend I want to talk about because it's rising up a lot, but we have not really understand it now, and it also will change the market in the future, I think. This will be content creation. Currently, we, as a European company, especially as a German company, I'm coming out of a country where you have a lot of manufacturers. You have the Daimler, BMW, Volkswagen, and all the other ones. They have own products. They love their products. And when they want to train people, then they come to us and they say to us, we love our products. You have to create the best training you have that we can train our people. I have this now by Porsche, for example, the new Taycan, from the e-drive. So we're producing custom content on a high quality level, and this is a high effort behind this. But now, especially from the US market, comes over the content creation thing. Their agency, they said, we don't produce anything anymore. Everything is there. Everything is on the internet, on YouTube, TED Talks, everything is there, especially in the leadership field. In the leadership field, why we have to produce new things? Leadership is not a thing that is developed in the last 2 years. We are talking about leadership strategies and developments since 500 years. That's normal. So there's everything there. And the content creation thing is now the idea to create, to collect existing things and put this on a learning path. It sounds easy, but it's really complex. Why it is really complex? In custom content, normally is produced from a subject matter expert who have the knowledge and a didactical expert, structural designer, what else? And they're working together and create a great content. On the content creation, you don't create anymore something. And an instructional designer is not able to create. You need another person. And there's a new term it's raising up. It's called a little bit like performance consultant. They are all content creator, but it's heard a little bit nicer when you say performance consultant. The performance consultants now are able to create content together with a subject matter expert and they only create learning passes and help with the system, sometimes the user to understand that there is a curation ongoing. What is the interesting thing on curation? The one thing is it's cheap. It's really cheap because you create existing things. But on the other side, it is not specialized. It's not your brand. It is not your DNA. It's not your vision or your mission. It is creation from other ones. But what is the interesting thing here? The most interesting thing. Out of content creation, there will come a lot of technology. The most important, interesting artificial intelligence developments are in content creation, automatic creation, and automatic content generation. And this will be the key for me. We're talking a lot about artificial intelligence in the learning field. Recommendations, no rocket science. Everybody can do this. Yeah, artificial intelligence to analyze a user and to give him some recommendations to other content. That's not it. That's not a problem. But natural content generation, that will be the key. So that an artificial intelligence in the future will change your content or will generate content on their own. We are already there. There are a lot of tools outside, especially for the marketing. When you're looking at social networks and something else, there are tools already for Twitter. They can create trends based on artificial intelligence, and this will influence the learning market. We will be getting in the next, I think, perhaps in the next 10 years, we will have tools. They will create content based on your subject matter expert. IMC, for example, have a tool. It's called IMC Express. It's an authoring solution where we do something a little bit in this way. So you can put in content, and we give you a didactical approach as a user-generated content tool. So we help you to generate on a good didactical approach because we analyze with an artificial intelligence your content. So this will change the market really, really a lot. When you're looking also by Fosway, the big rating agency here in UK, but is working globally, there are 4 things they're seeing what changes the market a lot. This will the confidence of meta learning systems. So everything is about integration, ecosystems, understanding different systems. Learning experience we are talking about, it's much more than UX and UI. That's important to understand. But for me, this is interesting. Demand for extended enterprise had increased further under COVID-19. Extended enterprise, what is it? It's a term that's not so often known, and you don't go to a search in the internet and type in, I want to search for extended enterprise. Extended enterprise means an extending of your target groups. When we have a small approach of learning in a company, then we're looking into leadership and perhaps regulatory trainings. When we have a bigger approach, then we say, okay, every employee should be part of our learning organization. And now it's getting more and more important to also to go out of the organization. And this is new. We have new target groups. And this is also important for the organization to understand this, for the learner, for the learning curation guys, for the instructional designers, and also from a strategical way. What means this? We have now new target groups. We have now concepts. They don't have only regulatory purposes. It is more that training will getting part of the value chain. So people recognize that it is a strategical thing of learning, that we extend this to our partners, that we extend this to our dealers, that we extend this to our external service technicians. And it is sometimes also a part of the framework of a customer success strategy. For example, I like the term, I have seen this a lot from US companies, this coming now also to Europe, perhaps also already in Asia. It is the financial education term. So this came from the finance industry, that they train their customers that they will buy their products. That's extremely interesting to get a high educated customer that they can buy your product and can use it with more motivation, with more success. And when you have when somebody buys something and you have success with the product and this what he is using, then he will buy more. That's an interesting thing on the one side on the value chain, that you can now use training to explode a little bit more into this market, but on the other side to have a big quality approach for these different target groups. And this is the target group, the extended, which have the highest rate currently in our market. So it raised extremely. Every big company now looking into extended enterprise learning approaches, especially for resellers and dealers. When we looking at the reskilling factor on the customer side, for example, I like this approach. Daimler, so Mercedes-Benz, also offers now training for leadership for their partners. So they make the training for leadership, that they like the brand Daimler more than BMW. And then they help their employees to sell their products. So this is an interesting approach now to use training and learning as really a strategical approach in the field of learning. So you have different things behind these things. It's a little bit the same like internally when you go into externally. But the most important thing is drive engagement, adoption, and loyalty. Because when you understand something, you like it more. It's an easy approach what they are normally using. I jump over this because I want to show you some examples, some industries where we are working in this field already. There's, for example, the Carl Zeiss AG. At Carl Zeiss, we have all the internal employees, all the leadership trainings are there, but we have also 100,000 eye care professionals worldwide. We are training over the system and with our content. So Zeiss used this since 2017, that they really raise money over learning and refinance then their internal learning. That's a big platform that also won a big Brand Hall Award. The other one is here in Australia by you, Amanda, I think. Well, you're sitting in a, yeah. It's Blackmouse. Do you know Blackmouse? From me as a European vendor, I don't have Blackmouse heard before, but
Australia
you know.
has. Absolutely. Yeah, okay. It's a big brand. Yeah,
Blackmouse. Yeah, it's like I said before, it's for the shops, for the they train their products, especially what you see here in Kazakhstan, Macau, Indonesia, Hong Kong, and so on. And they with more knowledge, they have recognized that the people sell their products more. And now they make the same like Daimler. The next step they want to plan is that they want to perform leadership training for their partners, because their partners, their dealers, are not so big. They have not the possibility to buy leadership training and something else. And then they're using now their internal leadership trainings, where they make the really good success with reskilling trainings and put this on the partners now. Yeah, so I have run through my session. I hope this gives you a little bit new view on learning market, learning trends, and target groups. And I will look also together with Amanda now on the chat. Perhaps we have already something in there.
Yep. So Sven, thank you for taking us through that. I think there's a whole world out there that we're yet to discover. I think there's so much depth where you have skimmed the surface very well, but I'm sure there's 100 questions we could be asking. You certainly had my attention right from the beginning, suggesting that we look at our phones 9 times in an hour. And I was a little bit frightened to think that perhaps I do it even more than that. So the number of times I'm turning that phone on to get information, data, or whatever it is, I'd be frightened that I'm close to double those kind of figures. A question from my side personally that I'm really curious to know in maybe a bit more practical terms is, if we're looking at augmented reality learning, what does it actually look like? Like, what's a real practical example of how we might see that? So I'm very familiar with the Netflix learning, the video, the bit of engagement, but I'm really curious to know about the augmented learning that's coming, if it hasn't come already in some places.
Yeah, I will make it easy and show you a video. You see my browser?
Can.
Okay. I think it needs a little bit of time, so I take it away and I search directly the video. And this is a video where we have created an augmented reality training for card size for an Industry 4.0 training. But I will show you and then I will explain it in 1 second. Yeah, here it is. So I put out the sound. Don't know how smooth it will go through the Zoom, but I will explain it. So here it is. Here you see an Industry 4.0 menu. I don't know what the name is in English, but yeah, you can produce here chips. Yeah, you can have a wafer and something else, and they use this for they use this augmented reality training for their vocational training. There are 2 parts of the augmented reality, and this will be getting interesting, especially as the second one. So you have your tablet, you put your tablet on, and you say, yeah, I'm on the tablet. I don't have virtual reality on there, and now I can put this in front of the machine here. The one thing is, you don't, when you're in a vocational training, you don't have the possibility, when you don't have your trainer on your side, to ask him something about some points here. Yeah. So what is this? What is this? And so on. So the first thing is to get the information about these things, what they are doing. Yeah. But this is a live product. Yeah. This product is running live. So this is the one thing that's interesting. Okay. But the other thing is much more interesting, and this is the second part we have here in the augmented reality. So this is an explanation again, but then now the second part comes in. And this is a dashboard, and this dashboard, this is combined with the real data of this product. And this is a big problem in vocational trainings when you have such Industry 4.0 things. You don't understand anymore that such a product have a lot to do with data. And here we get the live data, and you can simulate things in the augmented reality. Here you see, for example, this is the wafer with the order number 2304. And then you have your possibility to change something in reality here, and then you see it directly on the product. That's one example from augmented reality, which makes sense, especially in the vocational training. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And one of the curiosities I would have as well is we watch a lot of organizations look at their LMS, and they've got video learning and a bit of human engagement, asking questions, etc. When we go forward, one of the critical parts from my perspective was always, how do you engage people's attention? So what I can see in the augmented, they're touching, they're learning, etc. But there's an element of human contact that also adds to the experience, which is sometimes why the old school ways of being face-to-face has a lot of value. What part does that play when we're looking at these types of solutions?
You need always something like a vision you have to fulfill, and it's easy. There are 2 things. Don't call it learning. And yeah, I see always that we create training that doesn't feel like training. And it is extremely important what you said. It's one of the most important things to gain the motivation, because we have no trainer before us. Yeah? When I'm sitting in a room and the trainer sees that I'm bored, then he can react on me. Yeah. That's not so easy for when we have a human-computer interaction. And the motivation is the most important thing. The next example for motivation, I want to show you. And what I meant with don't call it learning. So this is how IMC is creating content. And this is also a thing. So it starts now. Yeah, this is the fraud city. This is a regulatory training by Audi, where it goes into a fraud training, a compliance training. Yeah, we don't talk it to training. We don't say, start your training. We say, this is the fraud city. The city devours its inhabitants. Enter the city at your own risk. Only the wording changing, put the people directly in such a training. They say, wow, great story. I want to know what happens. And then you have directly the user on your side, because he wants to explore these things. Exploring is a big thing in motivation. Make it open, make it exploring, making it engaging. And here, for example, this training, only this example, this is the detective fraud. This is the old cop here, and I'm a newbie. I have to help him with 4 missions. Missions are important. We always give the people missions. We don't give them a training and say, here's a training, 30 minutes. We say to them, you have a mission and you have to fulfill them. This is motivation, and that's extremely important to gain this motivation all the time. And this is also with the modern learner, because they are more active than before. So they want to consume something. They want to be active. They want to self-directed. And then you need these highly motivation things. Yeah. So this is how training can look. Yeah.
Okay. So long as we achieve the mission at the end, there'll be that self-motivation or self-reward that comes through the whole process.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things you alluded to was you've I guess alluded to the idea of industries. Perhaps you can do me a favor and talk through perhaps what is your favorite example where you've worked with a client and they've really seen measurable results in terms of the solution that you gave for them. I don't know if you have a favorite.
Yeah, so the easy thing is, sure, you can look into product knowledge. That's the thing. But my favorite, I would say, also I have this. I think I have this example here. It's the data essential training from Schaeffler. They're creating car parts. It's now on German, but it's not so important. Here it is about what is the interesting thing is here, it's a little bit like clean code. Yeah, so we have a lot of data in the company, and we have the need to save them in a proper way, to make a good documentation and such things. And that's really not a nice topic. Yeah? And we have changed this idea totally in such a pinch, zoom, 3D area with these small guys here, the data cubes, and I have to interact with them. I have also here again, I have the mission to help them. And what we have see here is, and this is what I really like, the people really like this training, and they have asked for more training. And on the next in the next training, we have put in then also the meanings and the input from the people. So they have a little bit like a co-creation then, and they were so highly motivated to work on this training that the effect from the training to document and work with data on a proper way was a little bit automatically. So this is. In Germany, there's a term. It's LDL, Lernen durch Lehren. So it means you learn through when you are the trainer. You create the training, and this is the best learning you can have. And this a little bit comes from schools, and this is a little bit so the thing here also. We have this co-creation. They have said, yeah, the data cubes are so great, the missions are also great. We want more training like this. And we have said, yeah, okay, then let us do this together. And a lot of people then working out these trainings, and this was really successful on this side. Yeah. I like the illustrations.
Yeah, excellent. They do look fun to watch, I must say. All right, we do have one question from our audience. It's from Chin Meng. So they're asking, what is the efficacy rate of LMS-driven training in terms of success? So I don't know if that's clear enough, but we're looking at the efficacy rate of these kinds of solutions.
Okay, I have to look in the chat because I don't know the English term. What is the efficacy rate of LMS-driven training in terms of success? Yeah, that's not an easy answer for this. But the easy answer is don't expect 100%. That's always a thing. A lot of people say, yeah, when we have 100%, then it's perfect. So yeah, then it's perfect, but nothing in the world is perfect, except of my children, but it's not a thing. Normally, so it's also extremely different from culture, I see. An efficiency rate in Germany, 80% is the highest thing you can get. The highest. It's not possible. They are extremely critical. Yeah. In Germany, this is crazy, when you have a customer and they get no feedback of a training, no feedback, absolutely no. And for them, is the best training they have ever produced. Because the German ones is always critical. Yep. This was, for example, here by Scheffler. They come back to us and have said, we have great feedback because everybody wants it, but this was also at one training at Carl Zeiss. We have no feedback. It was great. No feedback. Yeah, but this is Germany. When you look into US companies, they say under 99%, nothing is successful. But it is not about the efficiency rate of LMS-driven training in terms of success. It is about business outcome. That's the important thing. And that's the next step, trend I don't have to talk about, how we can measure the business outcome of learning. Do we really learn the right things, or do we learn not the right things and we learn too much? The business outcome stands over everything. And this is something where IMC develops currently a new learning analytics approach, where we bring in performance data from the company. We want to measure with artificial intelligence, is there a business outcome? And when there is no business outcome, then we can throw away the training. Then it's not efficiency. And it makes no sense to have 100% certificates, 100% test results when there is no business outcome. That's the only important thing for learning in a company. And this for me is then at the end, the efficiency rate we need.
No, I can totally concur with the idea that it's the business outcomes that measure everything. So as long as you're having an impact and a change in that space, it's the most important part. I know the world's gone crazy with micro credentials, and every 5-minute course that you're doing, it gets a micro credential and a stamp and something to tag on your LinkedIn account, etc. And I've always questioned the value of those, but certainly the business outcomes is a very measurable success story. We have another question from June Smith, and June's asking, how many programs do you have on your system?
So when we're looking at the off-the-shelf, so the ready programs, we have, I think, 2,000 hours when we're looking at all the partner programs and so on. So I don't know what means with programs. So out of the box, ready use content is 2,000 hours roughly. I think this is over 4,000 modules or something else. So this is leadership training, sales training. We had also some industry-related trainings in the endurance industries. So this is really diverse. Yeah.
And so then when it comes to selling your solutions, how much weighs in the balance of customized, personally client-driven outcomes versus the off-the-shelf in your product category?
This is a little bit DNA of IMC. We are custom driven. This is also something you learn in Germany. Yeah? We are all engineers. That's typical German. German engineering is extremely deep. And when you go to a German company, they have their own processes, they have their own meanings, and they cannot working in a standard way. So that's normal. And you don't scale this. But this is our DNA, that we can react on this. And this is also something what helps us on a global level. That we are the right one for the customers. They're searching more for a custom solution, somebody who fulfill all the needs I have in my company. So our ratio is 80% custom and 20% standardized.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, lovely. We have another question June is clarifying something. Can we buy them off the shelf? So is that an option to say, here is one of the programs in that 20%, can we just purchase?
Absolutely. We have, for example, one training, it looks a little bit like this Scheffler training here with a 3D cube. And so it's about cybersecurity. This is an off-the-shelf training, which we can offer in over 40 languages. And this is where I go. This is a reflecting training. So we have a reflecting didactical approach I go into I'm the hacker. I have to hack a new company, the Slurpee company. They have invented fitness drink, and I have to find the ingredients of this fitness drink. And so I learn what are the things in cybersecurity. It's a really successful training now, and we roll this out now also into Asia, I think in the next weeks. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. All right, going back to Lani. Lani had a question, keen to understand the downside of micro-credentials, as we're seeing is it a way to motivate staff, drive adoption of a change and uplift capability of our workforce. So where does that fit for you?
Yeah, I agree. When again, not only the business goals, when there's also a personal goal behind. So it's not only collecting things. We are out of this. Yeah, collecting badges, collecting micro credentials, and so on. There have to be a development path. Somebody needs a goal. When there is a goal and he understands this goal, then it is a self-runner. And micro credentials then great for this, because you have your activity steps to reach your goal. It's like a fitness tracker. But when there is no goal, when you have only micro credentials, then it's the same like you have no micro credentials. So that's an important thing. So our systems support these things, but we also support the goal view. That's for me the most important thing. And we have the possibility to combine a personal goal with a business goal. And the people want business goals. We always say, they don't understand that we have to save money, or they don't understand that we have to scale or something else. No, they want the business goals. When you combine it with personal and business goals, it's the greatest thing for a learner, and then he wants to work into this.
All right, excellent. I hope that answers the question, Lani. There's a great value in both for having that, certainly that internal recognition, but also driving towards the business goals as well. All right, if we've got any last questions, we're getting close to wrapping up before we let Sven maybe have his last comment as something that he'd like everyone to know, but I can't see anything else coming through at the moment. So Sven, I might hand over to you for just maybe a last wrap-up comment. It's been a great session. Is there any last words you'd like to share with the audience?
I have only some takeaways I want to give you for today. This is we see that, but I think everybody will see this, especially with the COVID push, that the technology and the world is changing really fast, and it's important now that we, and this is a little bit a contradictional thing, we have to make fast decisions, but they have to fit in the future. And normally when you want to fit something in the future, you have to think a little bit longer about this. What I want to give you, what I meant with this is, I have seen in the COVID phase that companies make really fast decisions when it goes into digitalization, digital training, or something else. But it was only as fast and as cheap as possible. And now they're stopping everything. So this is something where you always have to go one step back and ask yourself, do I have new target groups in my mind? Do I have some new approaches in my mind? This is important, and these don't go always on the fastest train. Yeah, that's an important thing currently. The target groups also, we have seen the target groups changing faster than systems. We see there come new target groups in, my people change. What is when augmented reality comes in, the people change again, and they say then, oh, I want all my training now over my classes. So also a thing with decisions, try to be open. Take a system that is able to react also in the future, open APIs or something else, or it's adaptable on your needs. For me, but an important thing is that we talk a little bit less about technology, and we talk more about concepts, because concepts are the key for success at the end. And this is what we are seeing, especially that we don't have only regulatory purposes in mind. We also see more and more really sensible concepts, learning concepts. And this is also interesting because we are getting now, our market is now important for the company. We're working since 20 years. Everything was fine with the regulatory industry, but everybody said, yeah, I need only a certificate system and so on. Now everybody recognizes, learning is key for the organization. A learning organization will survive, and the other ones don't want.
Yep. No, I couldn't agree more. I know there's been a lot of discussion about schools and even universities and how much they are in the structured, old style education process, whereas it's the learning that you see people really grasp onto. And I appreciate the fact that people have far more shorter attention spans. I know that you're saying a 4-minute hit is one thing. I know TED Talks are limited to 18 minutes at the most. Gone are the days where we sit around for hours and hours and hours trying to absorb things. It's very much an agile, dynamic learning process. But I just want to say thank you. I've, captured quite a lot in terms of the good statistics that's sitting behind this, the different ways we can be learning going forward, the different ways we can expect to engage both our internal audience as well as our external audience. So I just want to say thank you for that. I'd like to say thank you to everyone attending. We'd love to get your feedback before you disappear. Any questions or comments that you can share, that would be fantastic. Hopefully in the chat, one of our team is just about to post the feedback form that you can fill out, and Melvin's going to throw up, here we go, he's going to throw up our slide. If you'd like to click on the QR code and fill out a form to give us the feedback, we'll also be sharing that with Sven as well over the next few days. But love to hear any feedback that you've got, any ideas or any further questions that might be outstanding. Otherwise, jump on the website, have a look at the rest of the month, all the experts that we're still bringing to you. There's another good, 10 days to go of fantastic content. But I'd like to say thank you very much for attending this afternoon. It's been great having our regular people attending as well as a few new faces. But again, fire away with feedback and questions. And more than keen to see you again for our next session as soon as possible, which is just this afternoon in an hour or so. So you're welcome to stay on, complete the feedback, and then we'll be talking to you again soon. But thanks very much for the afternoon.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome.
Thanks, Sven. Very much appreciate it.
Bye.
All right.